Nicole and I started the business completely on not so much a whim. It was a dream of mine to start a business like Nth Degree, but when we started it, it was literally the day after I had quit my job. And it was either we had moved cross country to take the job that I had in Nevada there in Carson City. And after 7 months of that job, I decided it wasn't for me, and I had to quit. And I either had to move back to Detroit, where the jobs that my resume was qualified for were, or make my own job. So we decided to start Nth Degree. The problem is we hadn't been saving to start a business. We hadn't, studied to start a business or any of that. And
it was all passion.
We made a pretty good run of it, but the problem was we didn't have the money to do the business the way we were trying to do it. And by the time we were really at the level where we had to have more money, we'd been getting, SBA loans and stuff like that, but we had tapped out most of that. And by the time that we really needed to to share the company and bring in a partner, an investor partner, we weren't appealing enough for anybody. I mean, we had lots of interested parties, but pretty much the only solution was to close it and then sell the assets.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really have a choice. We hung on until the very last possible moment to keep it going, but we didn't start with a big enough pile of money to begin with.
Well, you know what? You had a lot of people who were crusading for you, and you would not believe how happy everybody is that you got picked up.
I do believe in it. It's that makes me not feel bad about it. It's it's 5.5 years and a lot of financial backpedaling for us. We're in a much different financial position than we were when we started Nth Degree, but I don't feel bad about it 1 second because I'm glad for what we did. I feel good about the product that we did, and it's good to know that everybody still enjoys it and is proud that they have it.
Yes, and that they can still get parts.
And that, yes. Well, if for some reason, there was really no chance of this happening, but if for some reason nobody would have bought the product line, I would have made it my personal side project to make sure that service parts were available, because I knew where all the parts were and how to make them and the models were and stuff. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have let that happen if it hadn't happened the way it did.
How is it with AEV? You like working with those dudes?
Yeah, we're having a good time.
You are?
Doing new suspension stuff, and now we get to combine it with all the other cool stuff like the Highline fenders and the root and stuff. So.
Are you glad to be out of Carson City?
I'm torn about that, actually. Montana is a really nice place, but the wheeling's a lot better in Carson City.
Yeah, I bet.
So, I grew up in Michigan, and my wife grew up in the mountains of Colorado, so Montana is actually a fair bit more familiar to us than Carson was, but I liked Carson for the geographic location because it was close to the Rubicon. It was reasonable to get down here. There were rocks, but it was kind of dry and deserty, and that's a little bit more than I wanted. So,
So now you're going to have to. Is it more muddy in Montana?
There isn't even that much mud.
No,
really. The biggest thing they do up there is snow wheel.
Oh.
And the snow wheeling's cool, except that it involves clinging to the sides of mountains that have where the roads cut into the hill, and then it's filled with snow, and you're driving like this, and every time the tire rolls, it wiggles a little bit closer to the edge, and it's like 50 rolls to the bottom.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah. High anxiety wheeling isn't really what I'm about. So.